Yes.
Okay, perfect. You are in your house, right? In your
Yeah.
apartment. Okay, I think we have almost 10 seconds. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and good evening to Olia Lialina, who is connecting from her house in Stuttgart, Germany. I am Emanuela Mazzonis, and I have assisted Francesco Bonami in curating the Me Family platform, Me Family project for the MUDAM. Before starting, I want to thank you, Olia, for being with us tonight and for having accepted to be part of this online public program. With you tonight, we are already at our 7th appointment, and we started in October and we will conclude in June. So before we start our conversation, I would like to make a very brief introduction about Olia and her work. So Olia Lialina was born in Moscow in Russia. She graduated from the Moscow State University as a journalist and a film critic at the beginning of the 90s. Olia founded the first real net art gallery and the last real net art museum. You are now currently professor at the Merz Academy in Stuttgart, where you are actually based. And you started to teach as a web designer professor at the end of the 90s. So, Olia, you are a prominent net art figure and pioneer. You have focused your research since the beginning of the 90s on the role of the internet in the society and in the everyday life. Your career began in the world of film. You started making web pages for your film club, the Cinema Phantom, and for yourself as well. Then in 1996, you decided to do something that was diverse, that looked differently from what uh, people could normally watch on the net. No animations, no sound, but you used all black and white. So at that moment, you have produced your first online work entitled My Boyfriend Came Back from the War, and that was produced in 1996. In this piece, you were already using intertitles, flickering imagery, close-up shots of actors in the interactive multilinear format of an hypertext. The user could advance the story by clicking on hyperlinked fragmentary phrases and images, and with each click, the browser viewport subdivides into smaller and smaller frames. You yourself have defined this work as a narrative experiment with the brand new technology of the HTML frames. So already in this work, and again, I underline that we are talking about the 90s, it was evident how much the role of the internet in the art world was considered as an artistic medium, leading to the creation of the term net language. So I would like to ask Olia if you can tell us more about this work. My boyfriend came back from the war, and what was your aim, the goal you wanted to reach out?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me and being a part of the exhibition and the program, and for asking this question, question that brings us now quarter of the century back. Yeah, it's 25 years ago, yeah, like one day, but completely different time and different intentions, and so different relations one would have with this medium that was a new medium. Uh, yeah, and as you know, as everybody else at that moment who got internet access and got an idea that you can make a web page yourself and to make it about whomever or whatever you like, I started to do it. Yeah, I started to make a web page about our film club, and was really, as everybody else, collecting materials, scanning stuff, thinking about how my buttons, how navigation of the website should look. So all these things, and of course, also surfing around the web and being as a filmmaker, film critic at this moment. Yeah, being also sort of puzzled by why people do it so loud and so so bright, and why things are so, I would at that moment say not professional. Yeah. And yeah, so on one hand, I wanted to make really, my intentions were to make something what would be different from things that um, don't look like, oh, let me put like this, to make something that would look more like a film, look more like a story than a web page about something. And another intention was, as you mentioned, actually to try to speak another language. Of course, the intention was not so artificial. I want to develop and bring to the world a net language. It was, it came later, all these formulations, all these terms. But this um, uh, recognition that there is another language, it was already there. The language that you can talk, you can write, and by this you create something that in fact is not just a film, that can be more as a film. Yeah, so one thing was to, intentions going into different direction. One was to bring the web aesthetics closer to the film, and another one, in no way to make a web page about the film, but to create a story, the film. And this is why also this black and white aesthetics and the frames, yeah, for me at this moment, these were also frames like on film stock, something what you can cut and edit. And now you suddenly, see that this is another logic of a frames, that the screen can be divided into them. Yeah, and you can make editing differently, and also you sort of give your viewers the chance to to go through your story, your film, net film, I called it at that moment, in the order that I don't totally control. So I don't know who will choose what phrase, what image. Yeah, so it was very exciting to try it at this moment. And I was very lucky that the work attracted attention. And people also were using it as an example. Yes, you can make art online.
Yes, thank you for this explanation, Olia. And I think that after this experiment, in a way, about a new form of language, and after different works you made the year after, also the beginning of the new century, and then think about works as yours as Zombie and Mummy, Midnight, or Gravity, where you were using elements of the early web. You have collected this type of elements in order to create this kind of works. And then again, you changed a little bit the language, if I can say, the topic, and you have made 3 GIFs models out of your image. You dancing, you hula hoop, and you playing an instrument. And you made these GIFs models in order to suggest to the viewers to use these GIFs in their own web pages. And at that time, so we are in 2006, people didn't make many web pages by their own anymore. And you suddenly discovered that many web pages have actually used your images, your GIFs. So I would like to know what was the aim of this particular work, and what did you want to achieve letting the people, the viewers, using your gifts?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a long story. And in fact, it's 10 years. Yeah, in between my boyfriend came back from the war and me becoming an animated GIF model. So there becoming a little animation that is there online to be offered myself that people please use me on your web pages if you still make web pages, because I'm perfect. I am transparent, so the
Mm-hmm.
background is transparent. I will look great on every background, and my movements are looped so smoothly that it will be nice. Yeah, so this is how I was um, trying to show myself in the showroom, my virtual showroom at that moment. Yeah, and this I was actually making a message about the web pages and amateur web productions of the last 10 or 12 years, paying a tribute to
Mm-hmm.
people who were producing things like this, because of course I was not the first one who made a animated GIF that was made on purpose to be used on other pages. Yeah? So I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to actually to continue this tradition of free graphics and to enter collection of free graphics. Also, it was in the years preceding this, I really used a lot of graphic and audio elements, and also the pieces of code that were made by amateurs
Mm-hmm.
for their web pages. So I was yeah, like feeling that I want to give back. Yeah, I also want to be part of this culture. Yeah, and then also, you know, another intention somehow can be formulated maybe a bit in a bit pathetic way, but I wanted to become immortal in digital realm. So it was already time. Then people started to talk a lot about memes, about meme culture. So this posting, spreading stuff. And but for me, it was not so interesting. I thought that real immortality, if you are used on the pages of the people, if you become part of something, not just posted somewhere, but you are part of something bigger. So this was the intention. And yeah, but I couldn't know in 2005, 2006 where was I used. And I saw and I felt that less and less people make their web pages, as you mentioned. But then in 2011, then Google introduced their image search, where you can search for similar image. I finally looked and was again happy and pleased to find myself on a lot of fitness sites, on a lot of music sites, on some personal pages. Sometimes I was used as a reaction GIF. So I really, at a certain moment, I found out that I succeeded as a GIF model. I had a career.
A kind of a immortal career, we can actually say.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, it's not the end.
No, exactly. So now I would like to talk about your book, Digital Folklore, that has been published in 2009. And in this book, in the title of the book, you actually use a subtitle in a form of a question. And the subtitle is, "Do you believe in users?" This sentence, it's interesting because you took it from the movie The Throne. You quoted the sentence that has been used in the movie. And in 2012, the word user was eliminated from the interface design business. And here I'm referring to Facebook or Twitter. And you have explained how the following three words have been changed, meaning that computer became technology, User interface became experience. Users became people. So in your work, you are underlining the importance of ourselves as users of the net. And you want to remember also our rights as users in order to protect our rights ourselves. Um, I listened to a conference of yours in 2014 where you were underlining that in the end of the 90s, there was a tendency to let the browsers disappear. And you explained very well in your website this topic, and I'm quoting now an explanation of yours, where you're saying that there has always been a tendency in digital cultures to render the subjacent technology invisible, naturalizing the gestures and habits of the users. It is precisely in apparently obsolete styles or in abandoned internet platforms where the trace of the user's presence taking creative and unexpected decisions becomes visible again. The development of the invisible computer, you said, gives birth to the invisible user, a standardized user oblivious to his rights, particularly one that sums them all up. The user right to literally use the net, to adopt and customize technologies in creative, unexpected, and unpredictable ways beyond the expectation of the original programmers. Now, I would like to ask you if you can define the word user and explain to us how important it is today to be still considered as a user of the net, and if it's still possible to be considered as a user.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's again, thank you for this question, for not ignoring this part of my also artistic life and my research and my writing. So there's so much sun now. uh, and you know, that's then I say user, of course, mean computer user.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This is clear, and also I know that it's quite an unpopular word, and also there was a lot of effort made by IT industries, by IT giants to get rid of this word, as well as the word computer itself, as well as the interface. Yeah, and also to address people who are using computers as people, really,
Mm-hmm.
just to you know, to not that we don't feel that we are in charge of something when we are interacting with the computers. So this is that we don't even come to the idea that something depends on us. Yeah, that we are using that we forget that it is a system in front of us that was programmed and programmed by somebody, and this somebody can reprogram it at any moment. And plus we also shouldn't think about we shouldn't come to the idea that the system can be maybe reprogrammed by us
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. So everything what has to do with control, with initiative, with knowing how things work, all this was on purpose eliminated from the on the level of language. Yeah, because it's maybe the easiest and maybe most important thing. And you ask what the user mean, and this is actually the user is a person who brings originally in computer history, it is the person who brings the system in function. Yeah, this,
Mm-hmm.
and there is also another very good explanation that was started to be erased from the vocabulary even before computers. But in another story, the word user was replaced by the word consumer when it comes to, in general, to the life even before the personal computers. And it was, you know, because the user at that time meant the person who knows how the things work. And that's again, of course, what was not something what market would want to use. So that's why the what it was in the 60s in English language, the word consumer very much replaced the word user. Yeah, and I don't want to lose the World Wide Web and the browser, my environment as an artist. Yeah, I teach students who I hope would become net artists, who would become web designers, who will create interfaces that make sense, who will make what is called the user experiences, but I want them to be responsible for what they are doing. Innovative, to do something what nobody else did before, but actually all the time remembering that there are users on another side, and everybody is the computer user at a certain moment. So to give power to these people, I think that the user is a noble, and computer user is a noble and powerful role. And it would be good to fight for it and not just to disappear in all this invisible, mess, that everything is invisible, ubiquitous, and you just talk to something with the voices, yeah, Alexa or mobile or something, what will come next. Everything becomes, so to say, natural, intuitive, and it's very easy to forget that these are program systems. And this is also what I, as a teacher, as an artist, try to prevent. And also in my artworks, one can say what I do, my audience are computer users. These are people, I address computer users.
Right. I think to this topic about the importance of the user, the importance of the program system, my last question is linked to this topic, and is the question about the work we are showing in our platform, self-portrait, that you made in 2018, and is actually one of your most recent works. We can consider it as a network installation, as you underlined to me many times when we start talking about your project. And in this particular case, you are taking a step forward, and you created a self-portrait with 3 different browsers. The work is a self-portrait fragmented into 3 parts, each of which is accessible through the use of specific browsers whose windows are reduced to occupy a third of the desktop screen in order to create a digital triptych. So what you are most interested in is not the final result, but rather the creative and experimental process of using the browsers. So the choice of the 3 browsers is not left to chance. Rather, you give precise instructions. So the first browser is an everyday one. The second is Tor, a browser that guarantees anonymity and secure browsing. And the third, Beaker, is a peer-to-peer browser. So the aim you want to achieve is to convey through a network installation how important is the dissemination of an alternative web, one that protects the user through the tools of the network itself, but is used in less commonplace formats. So I would like to ask you more about this work. What was also your source of inspiration? And of course, the fact that we are presenting the work in our platform in a different way. Of course, we were obliged to change the way of presenting the work because it's in a virtual platform. Otherwise, should have been presented as a real network installation in the museum gallery.
Yeah, the way it is shown, it is online. It is not really interactive. at this moment, so the viewers, they are not arranging the browsers themselves, but it's absolutely great how Mudam, how museum handle this, and you are actually running it, yeah? So the system administrator or the museum itself is a person who made an effort and put the three browsers windows next to each other in a perfect way. And this is how uh, lazy people who don't want to make it themselves can can enjoy the work at this moment. Yeah, because um, I don't like to show, or I don't show at all my work as video. You know, this is screencast. For me, it's important that it's live. Yeah, that maybe that you can see the clock on the desktop that shows the real time. Yeah, and you understand that this is happening right now. Yeah, you know, this the inspiration and how the work was made was again to address the computer users or web users, internet users at this moment, and to ask them for some action they could do, not to be passive. And this action is, yeah, please um, install 2 more browsers on your computer. Yeah, it's allowed, it's legal, it's possible, and doesn't will not make too much time. And then also open this 3 browser windows in the way that it will, the picture of me trying to bring my hair in order will work as intended. So by this, you know, it's a little thing to ask, but it also to show that some things are still in your what is the word, you are still in charge. Yeah, something you can be. And also me as an artist, I sort of show off with my ability to work across protocols, not just across browsers but across protocols. There are 3 different protocols, so 3 different webs, yeah, that are coming together. And it was very nice to try it out. It is work that that demands attention, because rules are changing. You have browsers, protocols, relations have to be re-established. So it's not something what I just made and can leave unattended. So there's, yeah, a lot of under construction, forever under construction, that goes on. Yeah, but this, you know, I always, since 1996, I try to make work that also shows that it's really net art. Net means that it only works if computer is online. That so the things are on different servers, and your browser can bring it all together, and you can enjoy something or not. Who knows? Yeah, and in this case, really with self-portrait, maybe I went a bit one step further, and it's not just different servers, but really different protocols. Yeah, was worth trying it. I really hope that the work will still have some more time to live, because things, who knows what happens with Tor. Yeah, who knows what happens with peer-to-peer, and also actually who knows what happens with our classic World Wide Web. It's all not stable.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. And thank you, Olia. Was a very clear explanation, especially about your way of working, your way of being across protocols, across webs. And I really like your sentence about about the fact that it works if computer is online. And it's really important, because in this way you can really understand the concept of the net art. Unfortunately, we are running a little bit out of time, so I need to conclude our interesting interview, and I would like just to add a few words, saying that I could actually say that you are proposing an alternative web, where you are recognizing internet as a medium for artistic expression and storytelling. And moreover, I would also say that you have always considered the net as a place that favors the active participation of each individual user, as you just mentioned before, inviting the viewer to be part of your project, which is perfectly corresponds to the message of our project, the Mi Family platform. So now I would like to invite everyone who is watching us to not only enjoy your work on our platform, but also on your website, the art.teleportasia.org, which is an amazing website where you can really learn a lot about your work, your projects, your research. I would say about the net and about the users, about the protocols, about the web. So thank you, Olia, very much for this amazing interview, and I wish you a good evening, and I hope to talk to you very soon. Thank you, Olia.
Thank you very much for your questions, and again for being part of this wonderful exhibition.
Sure. Thank you, Olia. Goodbye.
Goodbye.